Greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust, Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live or listening to replay. Definitely want to come to you on the 119th episode, UCC special episode. Definitely wanted to talk to you all about that aspect. And so, definitely excited and thankful for you to join us live or listening to replay. This has been a big deal. Definitely wanted to address it. And so we've gotten this a ton of consultations where people are asking about UCC and asking about their position with it. And so we just wanted to address the episode, for all the consultations, appreciate it. But here's the freebie for the public, as far as, just going over what that really means, and seeing so many people contact and want to talk about this topic. And then when they come to the vault and they say, okay, trustee training, the focus with the vault has always been trusteeship, whereas trustee training, whereas people are popping up in the public and they're dealing with this. What do they call it? Uh, they're popping up in the public with this whole, UCC and it's taking over the birth certificate. So I get to unleash today everybody that's never really heard me talk about this or the vault talk about it. You're gonna hear about it today. Just some of the common woes, things that we hear that just sound very not productive. And so we appreciate you all. Do for Sel, Trey Stone, and Chaz. Appreciate you all. Um, we're gonna hop straight into it. So many people come along and they say, "Oh, I have this trust created." They say these things in the public with this UCC, and then they say, "Oh, I put my birth certificate in it." We're going off the quotes that the people say, So that's not the vault. That's just what people say. Oh, had this trust created, just to keep everything fresh. It was, oh, have an irrevocable one, or have an express one. These are things that are said in the consultation people ask, and then we get to, okay, do you know? Have you looked at the IRS website and seen what they actually say about this stuff? And they tell you no. So one of the things that I talked to about with the trustee recently, he said the people aren't willing to go off and do more research. They want to just sit on the internet and go off of somebody saying something, taking it and running with it, which is so interesting because that's the complete mark of a loser. That's the complete mark of a poor person. Somebody that doesn't do further research, or they run away from sources that were the initial source of the information that they received in the first place. So we get further into it. That was the situation that happens. We definitely want to address this. Some people might even say the vault is an agent. Oh, we knew we were going to hear that term. The vault could be an agent. Like heck, it is. It's never been. And the people that have come through the years have always knew that it was about the upliftment, the empowerment, and moving forward in a private capacity. Whereas people in the UCC, do they even know that they're public with it? Isn't that publicly regulated? So then we get to one of the things that we talk to people that come through and they ask questions about the UCC, but the person that gave them the information, they fell off. So they got some information about UCC and secured party creditor and all this good stuff, but for some odd reason their persons fell off. The person that gave them the information. So they fell off, whatever the life circumstance is, and now they're stuck. And they say, okay, where do I go? Well, we always let them know you're in a regulated environment where you're dealing with UCC, so why don't you just go deal with a licensed agent, a securities agent? And no one's ever told the UCC whole environment, these people are trying to put the birth certificate in there and all this other stuff. Why didn't you just go talk to a securities agent? See, in private, we deal with them. We know about them. They're called a securities agent. When you deal with securities, you got a securities agent. It's regulated by the SEC. These are things that you know when you're dealing with finance and credit and debit. Not guys, I guess, just sitting on the internet, parroting off for what the next guy said. Oh, put your birth certificate in a foreign trust. Yes, we will address it today. First of all, if it's public, how do you ever have control over it? How do you ever get to do anything with it? That's you doing business with it, you consenting with it, you contracting with it. I love this example. It's an easy public example. So there is what, she's a singer, musician. Her name's Beyonce. She has children. When people tried to post pictures of her children on the internet without her permission, she had lawyers sick the people and get it off the internet. People have to pay for those images. Isn't that a form of copyright? Isn't it a form of trademark? And make sure that your image is not sold, because that's what happens to to a published media place or someone that wants to buy the pictures. And to have the ability to sue someone for putting those pictures shows the power and knowing how to stay and maintain certain pieces of privacy or not. People say, oh, I trademarked that with the name. Well, it's own nothing, control everything. Why are you doing anything in the name? And then there's businesses. This is a business approach. So one of the things that we always see is people want to come through and sit on their ducks. They don't want to hatch the hens. They just want to sit on them. If you're dealing in business, which that's dealing in contract, finance, credit, and debit, then that means that there's a growth mindset behind it as well, not just supposedly a sitting on it mindset. It's so important for people to look at certain things certain way. We get people to come in and they hear, oh, it's about making sure that you're in a fiduciary capacity, things of that nature. When you're a CEO, you still, maybe not always fiduciary, but CEO, you still have, people call it executive, uh, not necessarily privileges or rights, but you're still a major manager of the company, major decision maker at the company, things of that nature. So even when people are contacting and say, oh, I'm in a position of trusteeship. Well, if you're in a position of trusteeship, continuing education is through the vault, or you can continue education as a trustee in other realms and environments. But knowing trusteeship is vitally important when you say that you put yourself in a position where that's the case, or you are in a position of that's the case. And when people talk about, oh, I put the birth certificate inside of some trust, well, are you operating from a trustee position? And then they say, oh, I took it and put it in a private. And we just hear these things, and we've heard these things for years. We've went through the movements with them. We're not going to name any names because a lot of their names on the internet don't almost exist anymore. Most of their names don't exist. These organizations are still considered to be around, just talking to people that they maybe have just gotten into the information. They've seen this information. They're trying not to be a part of what is real. And what's real is if you're living in a operation environment where it's dealing with business, keep the business to business, and that's how you move forward. But instead, traditionally, it's not about business in most cases. It's about rebellion. These individuals are they don't want to be a part of this system, whatever that is. And those are very defeated positions. Those are positions of lack of power. And because then people distill themselves down to an operation that they're not even a true family office, they're not in the correct position, but they want to be in a position of, well, we're independent. Really? And so everyone does have that independence, and we all see that through the Constitution. But a lot of questions that we get at the vault, specifically even about the UCC, come from of not having a private education when when they're not even clear on contract being private or international. They're not clear on that. And so, like we said, we definitely, a lot of people are deflated when they hear that information, and they're like, well, where do I go from here? Do I start all over and all this good stuff? And at the end of the day, look, it's his business. That's one name, and people are stuck. Get popping, get business moving forward, create something instead of trying to discharge something. I'm trying to discharge. We're living in an age where people are going to get free rides on school and still get out and not get a job. So what's the point? They're going to get out. They're going to be in student loans. They're going to try to get the gov to absolve them of the debt. Okay, you're doing it in a UCC fashion. Do you not hear the public media trying to create programs like this right now? And you're studying on the private side, supposedly, how to get rid of that? Have never heard one person come from the UCC and say they're actually trying to discharge the amount that's on their document, which lets me know they don't even have a big number on their document. And even if you did, what are you going to do it on? Student loans, your house, a $400,000 house, maybe $1 million house. Have never seen anyone ever say, I'm looking to do something bigger than 16 million. My birth certificate, though, I have a birth certificate. It's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. This is a quote from people that said this. This is not Trust Christian involved. So that's a quote. My birth certificate is worth millions of dollars. Okay. So it's worth money, and then I can do what with it? Here we go. We go back to the securitizing, which goes to you actually talking to a securities agent. But the guy you learned that from, that it was a $100 million document or $1 billion document, they didn't tell you to go talk to them because they weren't talking about it as a business. They were talking about you being on the internet and playing around a little bit, and hey, I can do a little bit of research on this, and oh yeah, I found out, wow, that this might actually cost me. Yeah, it's gonna cost you. What they say, if it was so easy, everybody would do it, right? Right. But they also have people that are licensed to actually do the contract for the security that you're trying to deal with. They have title companies. Never heard one person ever bring up a title company that truly was not involved in private trust previous to them talking about the UCC. Never talked about a title company. But these people on the internet say, oh, well, we have what did they say they have? I have a copyright to the name. No, excuse me, a trademark. Because, it's the USPTO, United States Trademark and Patent Office. So, some people say, oh, I've seen things slip through the cracks. Yeah, so, if you like jumping out of airplanes and being a slip through the crack with your parachute, feel free. That's all it is. Take your chances. That's what you want to do. Take your chances. I guess these guys have a really good tone. They don't sound as passionate as Trust Christian. They're sitting over the internet, talking to you about discharging this, discharging that. We're talking about what they use against. They use these terms, discharge. You never hear that from the vault. You hear that from these guys. Oh, we're going to discharge. Okay, we can use all these other legal terms that they throw out there because they use these terms. That's how they're doing it, right? They're advertising that they're doing that in the public. So, and everybody wants to see lifestyle, ladies and gentlemen. When you think about it, you're talking to people that are claiming to be private. Aren't they claiming to be private? Oh, we're going private. You gotta do the UCC. Yeah, oh, okay, right. So they're private. So why would you see their wealth? You're not gonna see their wealth. They're private, supposedly. But people want to see the shoes that you wear. They want to see the car that you're driving. They want to see the house that you live in. Right? But you want to go private. So how are you going to be private if you want to do that? You want us to name examples? Those are celebrities. Are you a celebrity? Celebrities move in a fashion where, once again, they still move in a fashion where there is a separation between business and personal. There's a stage name. People try to say, oh, I'm going to do a DBA. We heard that one. That was years ago. We haven't heard that recently, but they're doing a DBA. They're doing a DBA from the trust. They're doing a DBA from going and getting an EIN. Sure they are. We heard that story before. You get a separate EIN, but why hasn't anyone from that environment, from the UCC environment, said we have a tax attorney that we talk to already? Maybe they're afraid to talk to them. Maybe they're afraid to talk to them. That's all that is. They're afraid to talk to them because they know That if they talk to them, their feelings might be hurt because it's emotional now. Someone owes them something. Someone owes them something. They want the handout. What? The government doesn't owe me anything? They owe me a free education. Yeah, go look over in Europe what's a free education doing. The entire system is bankrupt. They're going through Brexit. Pay attention and wake up to the world right now. Free is not free. And what is free, look at it. The entire infrastructure of Europe is going through an entire reconstruction financially. Spain, Greece, all of the countries, because what? They free. They get off 3 weeks. You know, you need your midday siesta. You need to take a nap. 4 hours off in the middle of the day. They brag about this, but they come to America. They come to America, right? Vacationing now, because the pound and the euro are still stronger currencies than the dollar for the past 10 years. But the dollar is so strong around the world, right? The one you're working so hard for. And then you have this group of people, once again, we can get back to them now, the UCC environment, that says, and we're talking about the vigilantes, you know, this is what they are labeled as. They're labeled as that because it's not business. The guys that are touting it on the internet. So, if you have any questions, feel free to type into the chat. But we definitely wanted to address that whole UCC questionnaire that's come up quite a bit, and people saying, hey man, you know, I don't know where to go from here. I mean, being in the direction of finding an agent, a licensed agent for securities is critical. I mean, that's a great step to move forward in the right direction, you know. But so many people are moving from positions of, hey, you know, somebody sold me some package, and yeah, you know, now I gotta pay more for consultations. We hear the stories. They gotta pay more for consultations. You know, can't get in contact with the person. You hear this over the internet. The vault has been hard rock solid since it started on previous platforms, has shaken hands, has done workshops, face-to-face relationships, and it's about building even greater private relationships. That's what it's about. It's about what we talk about. You live it, the private. It's not, oh, you know, I'm doing this so I can come up on you all, and then I'm gonna get out here on Instagram or on some public platform and start showing off. And that's what, you know what's so interesting? So many people that are probably listening, and even in UCC, that's what they want to see. They have to see that to know that you're living a certain way. When it's really, and it's always been said, if it really is about the individual and the family, then that's where our strengths are. Families working together, privately and publicly, but knowing those different environments and being able to operate in those environments, being able to talk about the different business structures and things, you know, LLC, S corp, C corp, having the right people around you, having those people available to you to go over those particular entities and things of that nature is business. You know, that's what we talk about. That's always been the conversation. It's been about growth and profit. It's not about you know, like we say, you know, some guys sitting here telling you it'll work on a car, but it'll work on credit cards, but it won't work on a house. First of all, when we came up in the knowledge, gross domestic product in the United States, one of the largest parts of the gross domestic product is mortgages. So if you want to discharge that, you know what you'd be doing. So then we go to the other one. Oh, you know, student loans. The United States makes a ton of money off of student loans. You think you're going to get rid of that? And when we talk about it, let's just say, make sure that you're dealing with the right people when you're talking to them about it. That's all. It's not a discouragement to not talk about those things. You might have the cursory to say, I need to talk to someone. So go talk to the right person. And it's not necessarily Johnny over the internet that's parroting off. You can learn this on your own. We sat in front of so many that have said, wow, after talking to you, I feel like I'm in and over my head now. Yeah. This is somebody else's profession. This is what they do. They do securities contracts. They have lawyers for that you can contract with them to get them to do it. So definitely wanted to address this conversation today. It's been a long time coming. So many people are sitting on the internet just talking about it, and you got to write your name this way, and this, that, and the third, and the syntax, and the this and the third. You know what it is? It's actually sad because it just shows you a lack of quality content on the internet as far as being able to see uh, a plethora of information. Instead, there was the 3 to 4 to 5 gurus, quote unquote, talking about a subject matter. Now you see so many more people talking about different subject matters, and this is one that I never even wanted to, the vault never even wanted to partake in doing, but it just has to be done because there's so many people that come to the vault and they say, oh, I've dealt with the UCC. I don't really know where I'm at. I don't know where to go from here. I don't really have anyone to talk to. That's another thing. When you're a part of the vault, you're a part of the private community. That's what it's always been about. It's about the vault is a private community of trustees. That's what it's always been. It's about families that want to protect their legacy, families that want to grow their legacy. That's the vault. It has to be private if it's family now. But then they got people in the public. Oh, I don't know where to go. I'm just wandering around. Yeah, sure you are. With financial instruments, which you think is a financial instrument, and don't know. So they don't have any knowledge of financial instruments and not gonna go find an expert in it. They're gonna talk to someone that said they did a what they call it. Here we go. Here's the term: an administrative process. You got to do an administrative process on it. An administrative process? Are you an administrator? Didn't you have a public school education? No, the people from Harvard, when you go through their business school, you're prepared to be an administrator of a company, a CEO of a company. That's who's prepared to be an administrator in an administrative process. Now, are administrative processes administered by boards? Can we talk a little bit deeper? Yes. So you might want to have some other people on the board that can administrate in a capacity where they're going to be bound through a bond. Notaries and the licensed people, lawyers, CPAs, and then we talk about these other securities agents. They all sit on the board, but they telling you how to do an administrative process. Okay. Remember, Trust Christian and Vote. We didn't go to college for this. That. This is private education over here. We didn't go to college for that. There's information on the internet can tell you put together a board on the board of trustees or the board of executive board of any public company, and there are people that help people get revolving credit through those UCC contracts. I always share with people, you all can Google those contracts through UCC with revolving credit on the public side with businesses. We've seen many, many contracts that are through traditional banks that utilize those contracts that, the company is looking to acquire, once again, a revolving door of credit. Those things are available when you have the right people around you to have those conversations to be able to say, okay, this is who you need to go talk to so you can move in that fashion where there's some form of, once again, we said revolving credit, and we're talking about a period of time. They might have periods of time for 5 years, and they have max limits, sometimes $10 million plus. You see those contracts that have and they can be even bigger than that for sure, but minimum style contracts could be even lower, but it's still a contract that's submitted to the bank, that lets them know you want to open up that credit line, and these are the means in which you can provide and substantiate those positions through the company. And so that's not UCC talk, that's not vigilante talk, that's not trying to separate myself or utilize this contract to say that I'm separate. My natural being is in commerce. Your natural being's never been in commerce. It always been a business situation. And so you see a lot of times now where people are in a position of, oh, I don't know, now I'm confused. If I never was, then why were they telling me there's a straw man? And you hear this term, you got the straw man term. Oh, it's the straw man. It's like, man, it's like telling people that the best shoes on the planet are Nike. Are you serious? The best shoes on the planet are Nike. How? We saw a guy that was playing in a college basketball league. This guy is, I think he's going to be the number one draft pick. He but his shoe in the middle of the game, his foot went through the sole of the shoe and they were Nikes. Like this is like their media play. This is, oh, if he gets drafted, he was wearing our shoe and his foot bust through the shoes. And when I heard it, I was like, yeah, all right, what does bust through mean? You can go Google and replay it and see the foot bust through the shoes. But people said that those are the nicest pair of shoes. Okay, well, here we go with the same thing. UCC, oh, you can do this and do that. Okay. Really? That's not exactly true. And just observing many different sources is very, very important. To have these guys hiding behind some computer screen for you all, it's never been kosher with the Vault or Trust Christian, and that's why we've always made it a point to do the workshops and things of that nature. And so private trustee training is the best environment to always facilitate that. But for everyone else out here, just being around and checking out the block, you hear this term called the straw man, and then people are like, oh, this is something that I gotta, make sure that I'm not this. Okay. And it's really just you thinking about yourself in the capacity of what a true politician would be, somebody that's aware of the laws that's going on around them, someone that's aware of, for sure, someone being aware of the environment and jurisdiction that they're dealing with. So we don't, necessarily take everything and run with it, but it's definitely one of those things to take heed of, listen to, and hear out, and see. And we know, like we said, we just wanted to add some more spice to the flavoring, because that pot or whatever people cooked up in that one was a true cook up of true transfer of capital from people that were not super competent to someone that may have just been on the internet and seen, hey, there's certain aspects that I don't agree with, or things that I do agree with. And now you can see, hey, well, they weren't wrong in disagreeing, but at the end of the day, what profit did this bring to your family? We're talking about profit, not the well, so many people use this term. Ladies and gentlemen, it's definitely about the balance sheet. That's why you're dealing with a UCC. So if it's not about the balance sheet, why are you saying, okay, I got a lot of resources from this person? A resource? You can go to the law library for that. You can go to the library for that. You can go to college for that. Those are resources. Once again, the degree from Harvard is more of a CEO style business education. Other colleges may not be completely at that level. There are schools that are great. Everyone would like to tout about an alma mater. I tout about particularly Ivy League, because those are the ones that are considered to be prestigious in that environment. Same thing when you go to trustee training. Where are you going to go to get the trustee training? That's it. Not the we're going to give you the theory on it. And there's organizations out there that do that, and the Vault just does it at a level that says, hey, you don't always have to be completely, 10 million, 30 million, 100 million style, because those are people that are getting more and more information that you're seeking. They're definitely if they have tons of capital, they're definitely focused on making it a point to get revolving doors of credit through banks, because they're very aware of, oh, okay, well, I can show collateral on one side and maybe not have to give them anything and move forward in that type of capacity. You see these deals happening all the time. Oh man, we would talk about the insurances. That's the what did it say? That's the collateral. Well, I mean, did you talk to a securities agent once again about the collateralizing of that? Did you do that? And so we just talk about those things, and those things are just critical, because uh, it's just interesting. So thank you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. I see no questions, which is interesting. Someone's talking about the military, which is not the subject of today. UCC is not about the military. Vault doesn't talk about the military. Vault's not a military campaign organization. We have to say these type of things to put people on notice. No, we're not dealing in that capacity. So appreciate you all for tuning in live. But I know that your favorite rapper's rapper, your favorite guru on the internet, that's probably all they talk about, and that's how they're making tons of capital over the internet. And you're ticked off at the fact that what they could say could be hintful possibly not true at this point, and that could literally destroy and slow you down. A lot of people say, I don't want to get any illegal issues. Of course you don't. Who does? What kind of this is the internet. No one wants to get into those situations. But when you're living in an environment where these individuals aren't talking about quote unquote so-called regulated things, which they are regulated. UCC is regulated through the actual UCC manual. It is the code right there. It's a code. It's regulated. And they don't talk about it from that perspective, and they're not out there talking about it from, hey, we need to go sit down with a securities agent. It just lets you know they don't know what they're talking about. And I know that might hurt your feelings right now because, oh, but these guys were telling me to at least look into the UCC. Okay, but why don't they have an agent around them? It's not just common sense. It's what's supposed to happen when you're truly dealing in the environment. When you're dealing in that environment, you're probably not even on the internet. That's why we don't talk about it at the vault. But I'm very aware of it. Gone through it, know all about it. Got the shirt. Everyone wants to have the shirt. We have the shirt and the hat. And it's one of those things that they're just sitting over on the other side of the internet. Oh, we got to talk about the UCC today. Birth certificate. They're only talking about five things. Birth certificate, this private trust or irrevocable trust, this international. We've heard about the 98 number. We can talk about the 98 number. And then it's just so many different things that they talk about, and they sit there, and so many people have come to the vault and just been like, I've been misguided a little bit. I've been misdirected. It's like, if anything, you always want to just move in a productive and edifying manner. To just maybe know that you can move in a better fashion is always important. Just a better fashion. Maybe not everything at one place, but just a better fashion. So many people say, but I've seen it work for certain people. Like we say, ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to dispute whether you can jump out of an airplane with a parachute. But there are times where a parachute might not work. And we've discussed risk. We've discussed ways to go about it. And sometimes when people traditionally contact the vault, there hasn't always been I'm aware of even a securities agent. We just rarely hear. I've never heard anyone say it. Ever. Because they learn from their favorite rapper's rapper over the internet. The guys that are sitting back, they have an alias, hey, some of us have aliases. They understand business. It's business, not personal. But they have the aliases, and then you never get a chance to meet them. This is real life. If this is business, there's a business interaction that traditionally should be had. But as you all can see, a lot of times some people just want to be the head honcho, and that's that. They want to share with you, hey, I jumped out of an airplane, it worked for me. Well, hey, some people are followers. That's where the world is. There's followers and then there's leaders. Traditionally, we would encourage and appreciate more people be leaders, because that's what we deal with at the vault, because that's the environment that we're fostering and nurturing is focused on family, focused on having pride in yourself and your achievements and doing things productive for the community, whether that's through charity or business as well, not to give profit or nonprofit a bad name, things of that nature. And so not coming from the perspective of, hey, someone owes me something. No one owes us anything. It's a great false belief, but it's a belief nonetheless. It's a thought. Someone told you someone owes you something. Now you feel someone's supposed to give you something because you do, quote unquote, you heard the term, an administrative process. It's not exactly true. Specifically when we talk about that. Thanks for you all tuning in live or listening to replay. C Artist, Bomo, Kevin, JLH, New Freeman. Appreciate you all. Some people asked about a way to get in contact. We always tell people, Cornell definitely is a great relationship with the vault, but if you all want to get in contact with him, just email Christian at Trust Christian, and we'll address the subject matter. If it's about the webinar for the trading, feel free to contact us and we can talk to him. You know, we can talk to him and find out what capacity, if he wants to, give out the webinar afterwards, or just what's the deal with that. So it's a trusted relationship, and we do appreciate that relationship for everything he's done for the vault. We've had a ton of people, take advantage of that relationship, and we're really happy about that. A ton of people that are listening that have went through the trading webinar and are showing progress and results. And like we say, if it's something that's just edifying and can grow you in a slight plus one way, that's all we appreciate. That's all our aim is to ever be. Uh, King Khan said, "Is there a benefit to the UCC?" We talked about it. Like I say, even in this episode, when you get to a certain level, or just in general, as you go out and explore and search, finding people that are professionally in that environment, you can find people how to deal with that on the public side with the credit, because that's a great way to deal with it, especially when it deals with obviously debt and credit and things of that nature. So, definitely encourage you all to find someone that can deal with y'all putting together those contracts and things of that nature. Securities agent, he said, Chaz says he thought a security agent only dealt with the governmental entity. You got to do further research. That's all you got to do. Just do further research. Don't get stuck. So, appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Please share this with your friends or family that talk about this UCC stuff and how they feel protected and all this other good stuff. And it's like, yeah, you're under the same banner that the people that are walking around with a gun in another country with a flag on their arm says. Someone is defending the freedoms that you relish with that flag or not for that flag. So, appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Feel free to